Success introduces you to the world, but failure introduces the world to you. So, dear students, be industrious, be innovative. May the Almighty God bless all of us.
Thank you, Father. Mr. Joe Meenam is a consummate executive with a diversified gross global portfolio for over US $500 million in IT, engineering, hospitality, and venture capital, serving the North America, Europe, Middle East, Asia, and Australia. The business group is an established prime contractor for United States federal government, especially the defense, the army, and the navy. Mr. Joe has been a top contributor and advisor to diverse government and commercial clientele around the world. He has held a variety of leadership roles throughout his career. Mr. Joe's contribution was recognized with several Department of Defense Excellence Awards, including the Deepika Newspaper Pravasi Excellence Award for 2016, the Great American Award from the United States Army, and he's also a winner of the United States Army Commander's Gold Coin. Mr. Joe did his primary schooling at St. Anthony's LP School and St. Sebastian's High School, Varithala. He is an alumni of Deepole High School and Newman College, Thodupuzha. Later, he moved to New Hampshire College, Manchester, for his higher studies. Mr. Joe holds a bachelor's and a master's degree in information system. We're truly proud to invite Mr. Joe Meenam, founder of Johnson Technology Systems Global CMD Time Holdings, to inaugurate the International Conference on Intellectual Property Rights. So please.
Thank you, Sayana. What a fantastic day, what a fantastic introduction. I'm not sure if I do deserve all that. The magician, our Father Paul, is a magician. He can turn any dream into a reality. Such a wonderful man. Thank you, Father, for inviting me. It's my distinct honor and a privilege, for sure. Amazing set of people, so disciplined. Father Bobby, you're hiding somewhere. I know you. I don't see you around, but I know you're somewhere listening. Thank you for the amazing companionship. You guys are real awesome. With that being said, boys and girls, I'm not a serious guy, okay? I'm not a serious guy like Father. I'm learning from him every day, every time I see him. I'm not a serious guy. I'm an easygoing guy. I take day by day. I'm not a disciplined guy. I'm a simple, easygoing guy who tries to be nice to people and nice to myself and my family. So once again, boys and girls, I have some good news today and bad news today. So since you are not close to me, I would think I would give you the good news today. What is the good news? I do not have a speech for you. See, I do not have a speech. I can't do anything more than that for you today because I know you guys are already don't want to get bored with so much of preaching because people used to people used to preach to me how to be nice, how to do this, don't do the do's and don'ts. So I don't want to impose any of those things to you guys because I want to be fair. But I still have some bad news for you. You know, I don't have much good news, which is the bad news. So apologize for that. With that being said, great Sadhgiri team, good morning to you. Once again, good morning. And Sammy and Miss Sammy and Samia and Father has given a fantastic introduction about myself. So there's no point of talking much about that, but I'm so proud. I'm very proud in the session, and also very proud to tell you, like Sami in the Malgudi days, for those who have seen the Malgudi days, R.K. Narayan's favorite book and the show it eventually turned out, I'm very, very excited about that show all the time. But I'm born, raised in the midst of the beautiful Varadithala. I'm very proud of my town, my city, and I'm very, very jealous of you guys today morning that you guys are there. And I don't even know when I'm going to come next with all the pandemic around. But with that being said, it's my privilege, it's my distinct honor, and a special tribute to Father for extending this opportunity. So I'm not sure what's going to happen to me at the end of the session. I'm not, if Father won't fire me, because Father wanted to hear about IPR. And believe me, I can only talk about things I know. I'm not a big IPR guy. Like Lord Jesus said, there's a follower of me, George J. Albinson. He's our senior vice president, and he's an early bird guy, but he just texts me, he's up and ready. He's a serious guy. I'm not a serious guy. He's a fantastic man getting ready. He's going to get you all that you wanted on IPR. So wait for him to get serious about IPR. You know what? I'm a businessman. I can only talk about business. Like Jesus said, I can only teach you to fish. He's a big fisherman, so I can only teach you to fish. So I try harder today to make you guys do some fishing. How to do that, right? What did I do? Some of the key recipes. So with that being said, how many of you would love to hear a story? I told you before, Father may fire me at the end. So give me a job. If Father fires me, Sneha or Bobby, Father, you got to give me a job, okay? So with that guarantee, I'm going to tell you a story. It's a very small story. I'll try to make it very, very, very brief. It's a story of an opportunity. It's all about opportunity, right? It's all about opportunity. So it's about a pastor who built a magnificent church. Those who have heard the story, please bear with me. Please bear with me, okay? I only have the story for you today. So it's about a pastor who built a magnificent church by the beautiful ocean side near Miami, Florida. He started with a few members. These pastors and how they start churches. They start small and they work so hard, and then they get into the next step. So this father was also a very nice, this pastor was a nice man, very hardworking, very devotee. So he built a magnificent church with the help of a lot of companions and friends. So he started with a few members to begin with. Later, it turned to thousands of people. They used to worship every day. And as some of you definitely know about the history, about the geography of America, that the state of Florida is a southern tip. It's a southern part of the country, and beautiful state, but it experiences severe weather conditions. It experiences tornado. The state has, flora, fauna, coconut trees, beautiful beaches, and beautiful everything that you boys and girls want to see. Okay, so one day we'll hang out there at some point. But anyway, this pastor has chosen that as the place to build his church. He built it, and with severe weather, the church, the area started flooding. So the water level started rising, and the local government announced to people to get evacuated. But the pastor inspired members to stay in the church and continue to pray intense. Pray. We're going to be saved. Guess what? The water started gushing pretty fast, and it has gotten near the church at this point. Okay, it's why the church, and it's very close to the church. And now it's, to make the story short, the water is now gushing into the church, and there are almost 800 people worshiping and praying and chanting, expecting the miracles that they will be saved. So the weather predictions have come, the channels have said, the government authorities have announced, guys, gotta let escape. You guys gotta get out of the church. It's very close to the sea. So there is no way this is gonna stop. So you guys have to find a way out. They did not, they continue praying. They prayed. So the water now is by the chest level. Water is rising. So some people applied common sense. They understood this is not going to stay anywhere. Better go home. Better start getting out. You know, there's no way at this point the water is just going to stop right there. So obviously, some of them, they got into the sense of humor, a sense of common sense, and they started leaving. And then naturally, you know what happens, one goes, the next goes, the next goes, the next goes, right? So now you see a line of people slowly getting out. They are leaving. They're just walking, starting to walk away. And pastor said, those who stay shall be saved. So better you stay. So now the water level is by the tip of everyone's head. Now they're climbing by the side of the church, the window sides. Now people climbing next, so people started leaving. At the end, about 6 people standing on the roof of the church. Everybody else have left. 6 people, and the pastor immensely praying to get the help from the heavens. Finally, the final call has come. Helicopters have surrounded the church. They started putting the escape ladder, and they said, this is the last and the final call, guys. If you wanted to leave, this is a perfect time to leave. There are 6 helicopters to save you guys one by one. Otherwise, in a heartbeat, you are going to lose your life. Okay, all the 6 people all together, including the pastor, all the 5 left. Now the pastor is standing on the roof and he's praying. He's a devotee like me. He's praying so hard. You know what, guys? So sorry I don't have a good ending like the movie Drishyam I just saw yesterday. There's no good ending. There's no happiness. George Goody is not going to get that. George Goody is not that. People are not going to get what George Goody get at the end. So what happened? Obviously, the pastor died on the flooding, and it was gushing up, and the water level is so high. So apparently, those who are Christians in this meeting knows what happens. We die, we go to the St. Peter's, and we knock on the door, and then we get a message there. If you are good, you get into the heaven. If you're not good, you go to the hell. So no excuse. It's going to happen, right? So he knocked on the door, and St. Peter opened the door and said, they looked into it and said, Pastor, you are such a fantastic, magnificent, beautiful guy, handsome guy. You got to be in the eternal life. He said, I am very angry. I want to see God. Where is God? I want to see him. So apparently, St. Peter informed the angel and said, this is not going good. He's very angry. He's an upset man. So better tell God that we need to, spend some time with him, because he can, such a good man. His score is so high. He's making A+, and he got all the beautiful marks, but except that, he's angry. God says, send him in. So the guy walked in and to the eternal leader's office and said, I'm here. Okay, what do you want, son? What do you want? I'm a little angry and upset, Lord. This is not the way you should have treated me. I prayed, and you should have been showing some signs of your existence and all that. And that didn't happen. So I'm a little upset about that. All right. Lord looked at me. He raised his head up a little bit and looked at him and said, all right, let me see your face. Oh, okay. You're a good man. No. So the only thing is, what do you expect? I did all the miracles. I did everything I can do. I sent you people. I sent you the bodies, the local bodies, the cops, the military, the National Guard. I sent you boats and, helicopter at the end. I sent you all these things, all these means to escape. and you did not escape. You decided to continue and you never wanted to listen to me. That was all my message. That's the way I was trying to get you out of that danger, right? But he said, it's okay. You have a great place here. You are going to be in the eternal paradise, and you're a good man. You'll be enjoying with me in the paradise. So, boys and girls, and great faculty and father, the point today for beautiful, handsome kids is about opportunity. Opportunity knocks on the door, and it can knock anytime, right? And be ready. And you can't just say, you cannot just continue, uh, what do you call, blaming anyone around. You cannot continue blaming. You cannot do that. Instead, it's the point of opportunity. It's the point of making a decision and get into the next step. So never forget, opportunities come in different ways. And sometimes you have to think by using your common sense. So it is important, right? It is very important we trust in the Lord, in the God of your choice, the God of your choice. Everybody has a God, right? Everybody has a God in them, and it's your choice. But it is also equally important, in my opinion, we apply common sense. We have to identify the opportunity, but apply common sense. You are in the midst of the greatest, you guys, all you guys are in the midst of greatest opportunity, set of opportunities today. Some of you children, some of you have started this year in this beautiful college. It's a brilliant campus. It's an amazing campus, a beautiful college in the middle of a beautiful, a small village. So some of you are ending your memorable Chandigiri academic life and looking for new beginnings. So there are two great types of people. Some are coming in and some are going out. So very important to remember, opportunity, it's everywhere. But experience is the key in life. Experience is the key in life. Every experience teaches us something new. Every experience teaches us something new. Father is a walking experience. He is a volcano of experience, even though he is quiet. I have never seen such a gentleman who is quiet, but exploring experience, the repository of experience he has. Great experiences gets you great common sense. So if you stay away thinking, oh my God, my parents told me I'm going to please them every day, morning to night, guys, that's not me. Growing up in that small city, I was not a radical, but I always thought, I have a life. I only have one life. I don't think I'm going to come back here. I will be serving later on some different world. But I have a small part of my, I have a life. It's once and for all. So I got to do something great. So get into the experience. Experiences can be good for somebody, but what is good for you is not good for everybody. Every one of us is uniquely created. So our experiences are experiences. Never be shy about that. Sometimes you have some bad experiences. You get into a bus and you travel and you meet with, I used to commute from Vadithala to Thodupuzha for such a long number of years. But let me tell you, I always pay my ST. It was 20 cents. It was 20 paise. I never cheated. I paid that 20 concession all the time. So getting back to experiences, every experience teaches us something new. Great experiences get you great common sense. When you mix common sense with academics, hey, remember one thing, academics, you cannot escape out of it. Academics, you got to learn, okay? But I'm telling you, I'm not angry with you if you don't have A pluses across the board, because I'm not an A plus guy. I have 3 boys, I tell them, hey, don't tell me you got A plus and you're always right. I don't believe in that. It's all about experiences. But if you do not have the capacity to gain that experience and blend it with great common sense and what? great common sense, great academics, great experiences, and then what? You need to have the divinity. You need to have that divinity, the grace of the God you believe in. It is impossible to defeat you. If you have the mix of these in your hands, boys and girls, I'm telling you, and if you do not make it, you ask me, because you will make it. These four things are very important: experience, common sense, the grace of the Lord, and then you should be proud of your day. You are a 3-year-old or 90 or 100 years old. Every day there's something you can achieve. The most important thing is that achievement. When you get into your bed, before the bed, if you ask yourself, have I stood up to my expectation? Have I actually had great experiences or bad experiences? Some experience today. How do I handle that? Blend whatever I learned in my school. It's not for exam. It's for you. If you learn something in school, apply that. Try to apply them in your practical life, common sense, and then do something good. Something good, right? Something. Have I done anything good? I asked my son, hey, before you go, I don't have any 1-hour prayer. I asked him, listen, ask yourself, have you done anything good today? At least 24 hours a day you had, have you done anything good? You know what? Without a good answer for any of these things, and then you continue simply, flipping pages and pages, reading all the great books, hoping that you will have a great outcome. Outcome will be great only if you achieve some of these things and blend them rightly, in my opinion. So those who are going into the reality of life from this great school, what I want to tell you today is it is important that you have to remember these things. Everything is good. There's nothing bad. Everyone is great. There's no bad people, good people. It's a matter of you really seeing and using that decent magnified lens to see the good in them. And you see them. I have a formula for you. GA. Get along, go along, right? You got to be getting along, going along. There's no way you can achieve by yourself. I tried that many number of times in my school days. There's no way. You can only achieve with a team. So teamwork always works. ഇതൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ ഒരിത്തിരി മലയാളം പറഞ്ഞില്ലെങ്കിൽ വിഷമം വരും. കാരണം ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ ചെറുപ്പകാലം മുഴുവനും നടന്ന് ഒരു മലയിൽ നിന്ന് ഇറങ്ങി ടൗണിക്കോടം നടന്ന് LP സ്കൂളിലെ സെയിന്റ് ആന്റണീസിൽ പോയി പഠിച്ചു. അവിടുന്ന് പിന്നെ വെഴുത്തര സ്കൂളിൽ വന്നു, പിന്നെ ഡീപോൾ സ്കൂളിൽ പോയി. അതിലെല്ലാം കറങ്ങി നടന്നു. എല്ലാം ഒരു എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ് ആയിരുന്നു. ആ എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ് ഒക്കെ ഓർക്കുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് അഭിമാനമുണ്ട്. അതിന്റെ ചാൻസ് ഇപ്പൊ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് കിട്ടിയിരിക്കുകയാണ്. അപ്പൊ ഞാൻ നിങ്ങളെ കഴിഞ്ഞും വളരെ സീനിയർ ആയിട്ട് കടന്നു പോകുന്ന ഒരാളാണ്. മഴയത്തും വെയിലത്തും നടന്നും ചെരുപ്പിട്ടും ഇടാതെയും വഴുത്തര സ്കൂളിന്റെ ഗ്രൗണ്ടിൽ കളിച്ചും തെക്കേക്കുന്നിയ സ്കൂളിൽ കളിച്ചും നമ്മുടെ മാർഗ നമ്മുടെ സെന്റ് ജോസഫ് പള്ളിയില് വേദപാഠം കൂടിയൊക്കെ നടന്നിട്ട് തൊടുപുഴക്കോട് മുഴുവൻ അലഞ്ഞു തിരിഞ്ഞു ഞാൻ. അങ്ങനെ നമ്മൾ പോയപ്പോഴും നമ്മൾ പഠിച്ച ഒത്തിരി എക്സ്പീരിയൻസുകളാണ് ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ ജീവിതത്തില് പല സ്ഥലങ്ങളിലും ചെന്നപ്പോൾ അതൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ ശരിക്കും ആ എക്സ്പീരിയൻസുകൾ നമ്മളെ ഹെൽപ്പ് ചെയ്തു. അപ്പം എനിക്ക് നിങ്ങളോട് പറയാനുള്ളത്, ആ എക്സ്പീരിയൻസുകൾ നിങ്ങൾ ഇവിടുന്ന് ഈ സ്കൂളിൽ നിന്ന് പോകുന്നതിന് മുമ്പ് ഇതെല്ലാം ഒരു റിപ്പോസിറ്ററി ആയിട്ട് ബുക്കാക്കി എഴുതി വെക്കുക, അത് കണക്ട് ചെയ്യുക. എന്നിട്ട് നമ്മളൊക്കെ പഠിച്ചിട്ടുള്ള, നിങ്ങൾ മാനേജ് സ്കൂളിൽ പഠിക്കുന്ന കുട്ടികൾ പഠിക്കുന്നുണ്ടാകും, SWOT അനാലിസിസ്, നമ്മുടെ സ്ട്രെങ്സ് എന്താണ്, വീക്ക്നെസ്സസ് എന്താണ്, ഓപ്പർച്യൂണിറ്റീസ്, ഇതെല്ലാം കൂടെയുള്ള ഒരു സ്റ്റഡി നമ്മൾ നടത്തുക. അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനെ നമ്മൾ ഓരോരുത്തരും സ്മാർട്ടായി വന്നു കഴിയുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് തന്നെ തോന്നണം, നമുക്ക് ചില കാര്യങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നുണ്ടല്ലോ, നമ്മുടെ കഴിഞ്ഞ എക്സ്പീരിയൻസുകൾ ബ്ലെൻഡ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് നമുക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നുണ്ടല്ലോ. ആ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നുണ്ട് എന്നുള്ള വിശ്വാസമാണ് നമ്മൾ നമ്മുടെ ഗോൾസും നമ്മുടെ ഓബ്ജക്റ്റീവ്സും നമ്മൾക്ക് അച്ചീവ് ചെയ്യാനുള്ള ഒരു ഇന്ധനം എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ഈ റീസെന്റ് നമ്മുടെ ഒരു ഇവോൺ മസ്ക് നിങ്ങൾക്കൊക്കെ അറിയാവുന്ന ആളാണ്, ടെസ്ലയുടെ CEO. അപ്പൊ ഒരു അദ്ദേഹത്തോട് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ചോദിച്ചു, ഈ സാർ ഇത്ര മിടുക്കനാണല്ലോ, അയാൾക്ക് സാധാരണ ഒരു മനുഷ്യൻ 8 മണിക്കൂറോട് ചെയ്യുന്ന ജോലി നിങ്ങൾക്ക് 2 മണിക്കൂർ കൊണ്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ കഴിയുമെന്ന് ഞങ്ങളൊക്കെ അറിയാം. കാരണം അദ്ദേഹത്തെ പോലെ ഒരു സ്മാർട്ട് മാനെ നമ്മൾ ഈ ഇടയ്ക്ക് കണ്ടിട്ടില്ല. കാരണം അത്രയേറെ മിടുക്കനാണ് അദ്ദേഹം. അപ്പൊ എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് അപ്പൊ ഇയാൾ എന്തിനാണ് ഇത്ര കഷ്ടപ്പെടുന്നത്? അപ്പൊ അയാൾ പറഞ്ഞു എന്റെ ഏറ്റവും വലിയ താല്പര്യം എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഹാർഡ് വർക്കാണ്. So why? The question is, why do you hard work? You could do smart work, no? You could do smart work. You don't have to do hard work. So he said, just imagine if I am a smart worker. What if a smart worker hard work? What if I work for 8 hours? So what I do, I achieve 400 times. Now my productivity will become 4 times higher than an average person who achieves things in 8 hours, where I achieve them in 2 hours. So, obviously, I also want to let you get a perspective that smart work versus hard work. Smart work is great, but if you do the same amount of smart work, same amount of smart work, then you will be only equating to 1/4, but you want to make it 400 times. So sorry, four times, 400%, right? So I think the time is getting pretty much reaching. George is joining us in the next few minutes. So I have one more story for you guys. And then I'm pretty much have to probably, back off. So it's about a boy, a 13-year-old boy, right? And his name is Alex. So, by the way, Libin, are you interested to listen to my story, Libin? Just lift the hands. Good. Amita, you don't say anything. Do you like the story? Shanit, you like the story? And you guys promised me, Father Bobby, you promised me you got to give me a job. Father is going to fire me because a lot of things I said today is radical. So I am very sorry to do that. All right. So Sayana, she ran away. I don't see her anymore. Okay, now I see her. That's awesome. All right. So this is about a story of Alex, boy, 13 years old, right? The guy had a teacher, had a wonderful teachers like you guys, right? And a great professor. So he asked the professor, he was a rich boy, raised rich and extremely ultra rich person, rich family, and the boy belongs to that family. So while teaching him, so he is secluded by himself, he's taught individually. So he asked the teacher a question. Hey, listen, I have so many plants in my garden, so many plants in the garden. And these plants, if I don't, they wait for my water. They wait for me to water them. If I don't water them for a few days, I see them getting dried. They are all dead, or they're close to being dead. Teacher, why is that? But I see a lot of trees, a lot of plants out there in the wilderness, in the woods, that I don't really water, but they are so strong and healthy, and they are very good. They sometimes outsmarts my trees. And why is that? So teacher said to him, hey, little Alex, it's because of a very small, very small thing. It's all about your tree, your plant knows he expects you to feed. So your plant is waiting to be fed. And so he knows he's set on an expectation. So he expects to have things fed, and on a timely basis, 8 o'clock in the morning, I'll be fed by my mama, my papa. They're gonna really serve me. And 12 o'clock, there's another serving coming in. At 4, another serving. 8, another serving. Then there's blankets coming in. All sorts of comfort zone, right? All sorts of comfort zone. That's called handing out. Okay. So what happens? So your plants are so privileged. So the plants out there in the wilderness, in the woods, they are always fighting. They know they have to fight. They know they have to compete. And they know they have nobody coming in. There's no godfather for them, right? So they are always ready. So what happens? They have stronger roots. They're prepared for the dry summer. They're prepared for all sorts of challenges in life. So they thrive. Okay, just want to let you know that little Alex, the 13-year-old Alex, he was the Alexander the Great that we all know. So that little Alex I told you in the story is the Alexander the Great, and the teacher was Aristotle. We all know the philosophers, the SPA. There are three major philosophers. This is your take-home, kids, for today. SPA doesn't mean getting a good spa in Cochin. There's getting a beautiful spa in Dubai. It's not about that. SPA means Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. There are any one of you, if you read one small book, I'm not a big reader. If you come to my home, Father saw my rooms are full of books. But Father thought I read. I don't read. I just see them. I pretend I read. I don't read that much, but I want to refer them. If there is a need, I want to refer them. So Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, and the awesome book, if you can read, is the Rhetoric. If you guys read that book, Rhetoric, and I told you, I'm not really a speaker. I'm not really going to do a structured speech. I'm not that guy because I didn't grow up that way. But I just want to be real with you guys. I wish I was there in your place, but unfortunately we can't. But that little Alex asked some good question, and the answer was, don't forget that. So don't wait wherever you are. Work hard, work smart, keep the character up, keep the communication up, and continue your follow-up. Respect commitment, respecting your parents, right? There's no way. That's called karma. I told you. You guys have to blend them together. It's academics, and then your smart work, your hard work, optimism, discipline, communication, follow-up. Tell Father when you have a problem. Don't wait and think that, oh my gosh, I don't want to tell Father. Let Father come into and understand what is in my heart. There's no way. Father is a human being. He's not going to know that. So I have the same issues in my company. I tell everybody, you know what, good or bad, you come out and say it out. Okay, so we can prevent it. We can make it happen. We can, as a team, there is a saying called, don't shoot the messenger. You all need messengers in your life. Every organization needs messengers in life. Every family needs a messenger. Don't shoot. If my wife comes and says, Joe, what happened? You look bald. I'm not going to shoot. That's truth. So what am I going to do? I'm going to say, I'm not going to talk to you. Why did you say that I look like somebody? I love Tom Hanks or somebody, some Mammootty, Mohanlal. There's no way she can lie. I want a messenger. So I'm sure our next invitee should be around. George is a very man of discipline and is an incredible gentleman. And to be very frank with you, I worked for George about 22 years ago. He's one of the best of the breed in the U.S. Army. He is the first he has a lot of records and history, and such a wonderful man. And I'm sure you will be hearing he should be already interred. So it should be anytime here. So with that all being said, I think I gave you some message. This is if I were so close to you, I would have been asking you questions by now. So that's not the case. So thanks a lot, everybody. And with all that being said, I pray to God and also officially announce that the inaugural. One second. I think our guest is here. Okay. All right. George is somewhere here. Welcome back. Welcome, George. So with that being said, in the name of the Lord that I believe in, and I pronounce and I announce that this event is inaugurated, and let it be blessed with all the grace of the Almighty, with your support. Without your support, Father can't achieve any of these things, but I know his character. So with all that being said, this is officially inaugurated, and let the blessings of the God be with the institution, the great professors, teachers, staff, and the Reverend Fathers, and Almighty blessed Father, and everybody in this program. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I am hoping to see you guys at some point, but once again, thank you for the opportunity, Father, specifically for you, and Sayana for the great introduction. I owe you. Everybody I can see, and Amita, you're smiling. Thank you. Somebody is smiling. That is a good sign. With that being said, Goodbye for now. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Joe. That was interesting and inspiring. I'm truly excited to introduce our distinguished speaker of the day, Mr. George J. Albinson. Mr. George holds a dual Bachelor of Science in Computer Science and Mathematics from East Stroudsburg University. He holds a Master's of Science in Systems Management from Florida Institute of Technology. Mr. George is the founder of Tucker Troop and currently serves as a Senior Vice President for Enterprise Services at Johnson Technology Systems. Mr. George started his career as a lead software developer in Arctic. During this tenure, he held various positions in Arctic as a project officer, project manager, chief information officer, and chief of knowledge management office. He worked as the Chief Information Officer of Joint Munitions and Lethality Life Cycle Management Command, where he managed the mission and business information technology systems and worked as a top level strategist for situational awareness in the command strategic planning. He also served as chair for the Army Joint CIO Council for a short period of time. Mr. George served as a director at Army Shared Services Center, where he managed to control the performance, quality, and direction of operations within the Army. His 35 years of career span was recognized with several high-profile awards and rankings for creating a dynamic and satisfying IT work environment. I invite Mr. George Albinson for the keynote address. So please.
Hey, time out. Hey, Sayana, we have a slide. How do we show that? We have a slide, a presentation. How do we? George has a slide. Can you give George or me a screen share?
Yes, now you can share screen, sir. You are a co-host now, so that you can share your screen.
All right, hold on 1 second.
അരുന്ധതിയോ?
They're doing it to Joe.
As soon as they stop sharing.
Got it. right. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Everybody-
Yeah, sure. We can see that. Please proceed, sir.
Good. Okay. And you can hear me fine?
Yes.
All right, great. Well, thanks for inviting me for this opportunity to present to you guys today. I don't know whether to say good morning or good evening. It's almost midnight here and where we're at, and I know where you guys are at, it's early morning. So I guess I'll say good morning to everybody. That was a very nice introduction. What I thought I would talk to you guys about after talking with Joe was a little bit about advanced computing and intellectual property rights. It's something that we had to deal with a great bit when I was with the Army as the CIO before I retired. As Sanya was saying, I spent 31 years with the U.S. Army. In the last 10 of it, I was the CIO at a major research and development facility. And that research and development facility was very attuned to advanced computing. In fact, it basically was responsible for 90% of the lethality, the research and development of the lethality of the Department of Defense for the United States of America, meaning 90% of all advanced armaments and weapon systems that our soldiers use in the field were developed there. So as you can imagine, there was a very big footprint at that site for computers and software and engineering, research and development, both chemical as well as traditional munitions. And we had the need for rapid computer models and simulations, high connectivity to advanced computers and advanced computer networks. We couldn't be a site, most of the military sites in the United States would be behind firewalls where people couldn't connect to them. We couldn't be a site like that because we had to rely on industry as a partner of ours to develop these weapon system platforms, as well as a lot of academia. So we created our own defense network. It's called the Research Development Engineering Network. And we were able to connect to these different futuristic kind of partners that would help us do that development. So from those years of experience, there was an awful lot of, I know you guys are interested as well in intellectual property rights. There was an awful lot of concern about whose intellectual property rights they were, how were we going to protect them as these weapon system platforms and other kinds of things were being developed. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to discuss these things with you, especially since you guys are just starting out in your careers. I mean, you're really in college, but when you graduate, you guys are going to be in a prime position to take advantage of some of the things that are going on in advanced computing that I kind of just saw towards the end of my career. Next slide. I don't think, Joe, are you driving? Could you move to the next slide? Thanks. One of the things I wanted to bring up right in the beginning, and I can tell you right now, there's not going to be a lot of answers to this. I just want to broaden your awareness of what's going on in the computer, out in the commercial world with computer technology. And to do that, I figured I would talk about the rate of technology. You can see at the bottom of this graph how flat it was in early times, in 1400s, all the way up to the 1900s. And then you see an incredible increase in acceleration of technology. And I think you still see that today. You can see that threw a few things into the dots that kind of show the things that came along. But what I'm trying to express to you here is the rate that technology is starting to develop. And I started in the early 1980s. You can kind of look at the bottom axis, the x-axis, and you can see, where the 80s were. I mean, when I started at the Army base, we were using MS-DOS. There was actually before that, when I started, there was just linear tier, terminals with mainframes, and there was no PCs, no laptops, no anything. So you can just imagine, probably a lot of you weren't even born yet. And through that period of time, over 30 years, we see all the way up to where we're at now with the models and simulation. So you guys are coming in at what I would think is a very good opportune time because technology is only going to continue growing and it's only going to go faster and faster. So I kind of threw in a little buzz there for you at the top. that if you can dream it, you can make it happen in your lifetime, because the computing capabilities are going to get that much better. Next slide, please. One of the challenges I thought I would show on the next slide is, even though the technology, you can see again, I kind of just used the same chart, changed it a little bit, and you can see where the rate of technology is still just showed at the top, but the real issue is the human adaptation to it. That's gone linear. That really hasn't changed, that rate, if you look at it from early on years all the way out to time now. And that's one of the big challenges that you guys will have when you get out of college. The bottom line is that the technology moves so quickly, people can't really adapt to it, and then they really don't get the full value out of it because they don't know how. And by the time they figure out how to use something, say an iPhone, it becomes obsolete. It sounds funny to you guys because you guys are all using those kinds of things, but out in the commercial world, people use them for phone calls and maybe some email and text messaging, but they don't really use them to run their business. They don't really use them to transact and do the things they need to do every day. At least, you know, the older population and the people that are running businesses today, they use them for communication only. So I kind of threw in the coronavirus accelerant, little depiction there, to talk about the way that we seem to adapt over time is when things happen to us that we don't have planned, and then that causes things to change. And that's one of the big lessons learned here, these accelerants. You saw it right now with coronavirus. You know, before this, everybody flew and traveled and went to businesses face to face, and all of a sudden the pandemic hit, and now people all are very comfortable with teleworking or using Zoom and not having to be in concrete brick and mortar buildings to do their work. Obviously, there's a lot of work that you can't do remotely. But in the business world and in the R&D world, there's an awful lot. In fact, the arsenal that I used to work at, the Army base in the US, nobody has been to that base now in over a year. Most of the people do all their work from remote. So without the pandemic, you know, the pandemic was a very awful thing, but without the pandemic, the adaptation of kind of working virtually and working in teams and changing the way we do things probably would have taken another 20, 30 years before people were able to accept that kind of technology. So those are the kinds of things that will help close the gap here. And this to me is one of the challenges, that even when you guys get out of school and there's all these new ways of computer, you know, advanced computer operations, the challenges that you really have is not the technology, it'll be the people being able to adapt and use it. Next slide. And what do I mean by, you know, I wanted to make sure that we understood what I was talking about when I mentioned the advanced computing and then how can it be used. And today the computing is primitive compared to where I see it going in 10 to 20 years from now. Things like advanced computing environment is going to become more of an ecosystem than just having a computer sitting on your desktop. And by an ecosystem, I'm talking about the convergence of biological capabilities and physical capabilities and digital capabilities, and combining these to advancing computer capabilities into a dynamic ecosystem. And what do I mean by these kinds of things that right now are running in silos, and you know, all the things that I'm discussing underneath this exist today. I don't want to make it sound like it doesn't. I'm sure all you've heard of IoT and robotics and 3D printing. But the difference is that they're all happening in their own silos. They're all happening in their own verticals. They're all happening on different platforms and different technologies. And where they integrate is just point to point, meaning two businesses figure out that it's really a good idea to have a refrigerator connected to your network at your house so that it lets you know when something inside the refrigerator is empty, and then you can go out and order it or go pick it up at the supermarket. That's kind of a convergence of two verticals, of IoT and maybe the grocery marketplace, if you would. And they made a connection, and they used advanced computing and technology in order to make that work for a given problem set. That's a small example of a marketplace for financial profit businesses, putting together pieces of this independent these silos in the ecosystem. But what I'm talking about is advanced computing is going to converge all of them at once. It's going to pull everything together on standard platforms and standard technologies. So where you get quantum nano computing, IoT, robotics, 3D printing, autonomous vehicles, you'll have artificial intelligence. Everybody's heard of artificial intelligence and being able to talk to Siri and all these kinds of things. But those are what the industry calls narrow artificial intelligence, meaning it's all programmed. The response isn't really human artificial intelligence. All that's programmed by computer scientists, you know, for questions that are asked, and then it's following a algorithm until it responds with a response. And those algorithms are getting smarter and smarter because the kids coming out of college are getting better at writing them. Computers are getting faster so they can analyze the questions quicker and get responses back. But it's called narrow because it's only going to answer what's in the algorithms that you guys develop. General artificial intelligence is different, and that's the very beginning stages of what advanced computing is going to be able to do with it in the future. Those are the things where it's not an algorithm, where you're teaching computers to actually learn. And you know, those are the things that I think are going to be some of the biggest advances in computing. So what happens when you put all this convergence together in a ecosystem for advanced computing? You start seeing the changes that I've kind of thrown up as an example. And one of them is, you know, you'd ask, well, what's an example of biological and digital being combined? And a good example of that is with the size of computers shrinking with nanotechnology and the ability to put transistors onto very dense circuitry, and it's getting faster and faster with Moore's law, computers can now get so small you can actually insert them. Pharmaceutical companies can insert one into a pill. And just imagine being able to swallow a pill. The pill figures out where your illness is, and then it starts setting up antibodies in your body, and maybe even changing, when you talk about biological advancements in computing, changing the DNA of some of your antibodies so that it can start doing curing for you within your body. I mean, those are things that start being studied, and you know, you see a little bit of that right now when you talk about the vaccines that are coming out for, you know, it's a whole new kind of technology and how they mess with individuals' DNA so it can prepare itself to be a vaccine for the pandemic, for the virus. Other examples are prosthetics. You know, prosthetics now, you know, was a big advancement 10 years ago when we were able to have a prosthetic that could actually, you know, you could move your arm and then the prosthetic will start moving it. So it, you know, it would receive and do things that your brain tells it to do. But in the future, the prosthetic could actually be communicating back to the brain and actually telling the brain what it's feeling and touching. So these are kinds of things that are going to be available through quantum nano computing. Transplant of organs. I mean, we've all heard about 3D printers and how they can print guns and things like that, or faucets and stuff. But they're also talking about in the future being able to you know, you need a liver transplant. You don't have to get on a liver list. You can just take your DNA and put it through the printer and then print yourself a liver in the future. And now that could be 30, 40, 50 years out, but the ability that's going on, the capabilities that are going on right now through quantum computing, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Then there's things like, well, you could do changes to marketing. And what I'm trying to show is a bunch of examples that you know, you can see the impacts of advanced computing and across all kinds of marketplaces in the world. Now, I'm talking about commercial ads now. Today, you turn on a commercial ad and they hope that they get your attention and you're interested in buying something. In the future, those ads can actually read your emotions or feel your emotions and then make adjustments to the individual so that they're smart ads. And then you've got networks and how networks are ran today and how you protect someone's personal information as well as other information within the nanotechnologies. And those things are all going to change. And I discussed that a little bit later on when we discuss intellectual capital. Next slide, please. Next slide, thanks. This is just, I wanted to give you guys a, we talked a little bit about advanced computing. I thought, to me, pictures are always worth 1,000 words. So rather than talk about all the things that I did on the previous slide, I just wanted to show you from a visual perspective what an ecosystem for advanced computing would look like, at least in my opinion anyway. And I'm not going to go through all of these. We kind of broke down some of the examples and talked about some of the things on the previous slide. But what I really wanted to show here is, to me, things happen in 10-year increments, and that's just my personal opinion from my experience at Picatinny. And what we're talking about right now is down at the bottom of the slide, where the horizon for advanced computing, you can see it. It's right in front of you. There's things that are evolving right now that you're using, and companies like Apple and Microsoft are talking about releasing them in the next 2 or 3 years. Those are what I call horizon up to 10 years. And what's good for me is I'm still in the ball game, even though I'm retired right now, but I'm involved in those things, and I'm working with JTSI, and we're looking at ways that we can, what they call advanced technology objectives within the Army, where we're getting involved with these technologies and trying to do different things for them. And we do them on what's called OTAs, other transactional actions, so that we can innovate with industry and with the government. And what I'm trying to show is, as you push further out, these are the kinds of things that I think that when you guys get out and start getting into your careers, you're going to be dealing with. That's the far horizon. And I view that 10 years from now to 20 years from now. And a lot of these things are all going to, when I talked about change in the previous slide, the business drivers are going to drive when these things actually start being available for everybody, how much efficiency they provide to businesses or to marketplaces, how much society can accept them, how they're going to secure them, and the cybersecurity. You see the boxes that I put around it. And basically, when you get out to the future, 10 to 20 years from now, the technology is going to be so great and so sufficient. It seems like anything you want to do or anything you want to be able to protect, you're going to be able to do it. And a guy named Isaac Asimov quoted that in the center of the slide. Any sufficiently advanced technology seems like magic. I mean, the ecosystem should be strong enough in 20 years from now that you can truly, if you can envision it, you could probably get it done. And I don't know how much you guys are really aware about time cloaking with future networks and 4D networks, but you could have probably classes within your college curriculum on just time cloaking. And really, that could be a key to how they protect personal information in the future, as well as any intellectual capital that people are developing inside this advanced computing ecosystem. Next slide, please. The future intellectual property rights. This is, this is really, if anybody out there really wants to get involved in this, they probably need to go to get a law degree. I spent a lot of time with lawyers on intellectual property and people getting patents at our Army R&D facility, as well as companies coming in, like JTSI might have a product that was actually called Survey Shield. That was their intellectual property. We had to negotiate certain rights with JTSI when they were bringing it on base, so that they own the product and we were basically just leasing it from them. So there's other things where if that was actually being built through an R&D contract, that software product was being built by the government, paying JTSI, then the intellectual property rights would be slightly different. But basically, for anybody out there that doesn't know what we really mean about intellectual property rights, it's really how rights are given to a person to control the creations of their minds. Meaning, if you guys created a product, you thought about it, you came up with a good gaming kind of system or a different software product that no one had before, having IP to that, it basically gives you control of the product that you created, at least for a given period of time. And that's one of the things that's probably a shortfall on how it's done today, because like in the pharma industry, they get, like, after billions and billions of dollars of R&D and they come up with a drug, they might get 10 years of IP right where no one can sell that drug, even though everybody knows how they developed it when it finally hits the marketplace. They have the rights to that locked up, and nobody can sell a competing drug so that they can try to recover the cost of what it took them to R&D it. In the future, with advanced computing, that's going to be very hard to operate in that manner. In today's day and age, they're always trying to protect IP, intellectual property, by four main ways: trade secrets, patents, copyrights, and trademarks. And, trade secrets are basically what we were talking about with pharma and them having drugs that they R&D'd, and they know how to make them. And now there's certain secrets in there that they don't want other people to have so that they can make a competing drug. Patents are when you create a product or you have a software product like Survey Shield, you can have a patent on that so nobody can copy that after people start buying it in the marketplace. Copyrights are more about what you're thinking, as opposed to if you have a product. And then trademarks are like things like the Nike swoosh or the apple, like the symbol that represents their company. Those kinds of things in the advanced computing world, probably not trademarks, but patents and copyrights probably won't be available because the technology will be moving so quickly, and everything, the lines are blurred between all these different verticals that we were talking about earlier, and they're all integrated and they're all using each other to build new products. It'll be very, very hard to figure out with new products what capability or intellectual property went into that, because it's all within an integrated ecosystem of advanced computing. So there's a lot of opportunity here and much to learn. I put that down in a bullet on this slide, where it's going to be a larger challenge in the technology itself, and it's going to be more like the adaptation of the technology challenge with the people actually using it, is how to figure out how to do that. And a lot of it's based around laws today. Every individual country has their own laws of how they do it. So it gets very hard to build a global ecosystem when India might be protecting its intellectual property different than the United States, different than Iran, different than Australia or whatever country it is, Canada. But in the future, I think you're going to see this morph more away from the legal aspects and the different laws of the country, because now the global ecosystem in advanced computing is going to be so tightly integrated that whose laws are going to supersede whose laws. So there's an organization called the Post-Quantum, which now they've already realized that quantum computing is on the horizon. It's already being done, and they have an organization called the Post-Quantum, and they're looking, and that was created in 2009, and they're looking at what is the best way to protect the IP and secure everybody's data safely in this new advanced computing environment. And that could be going on for, who knows, 20 or 30 years. But it'll require a lot of smart people that know how this technology is being used and understand how it operates and how it's shared in order to figure out what's the equitable distribution of these things. So the goal is to protect your data and IP while ensuring, a lot of times today when you're protecting it, companies hold it, and then it costs a great deal to get that pharmaceutical drug because they're trying to recover their money for it. And in the future, the goal really needs to be to protect it for them, but also make sure that everybody's benefiting from this global ecosystem and no one's locked out or can't afford it. That's basically the way intellectual property rights and advanced computing seems to be migrating. And I think you guys will see a lot of that challenge and be able to help shape that future when you graduate. Next slide. So what does all this mean to you guys? You're probably sitting there thinking, okay, what am I going to do with it? Well, the big thing is I tried to put a couple questions in as you guys go to classes every day or take different curriculums or get interested in different things. I really think if you keep these questions in mind, if you're working in advanced computing, and you keep these in mind, that'll help shape and drive what you're doing and what classes you're taking and how you perceive those classes. So I'll just read off a couple of them for you. How do we establish governance for equitable innovation? Meaning in an environment where everything's integrated, how do we make sure that everybody's getting what they deserve from their innovations in that environment and it's not being stolen and taken by somebody else. And how do we foster equitable benefits of these technologies? Meaning we want to make sure that not the rich or the smartest are able to use them and nobody else can. We have to make sure that everybody is able to benefit from what's being done. What's the proper governance model? I was talking about before how each country now does their own laws. Is it going to be a consortium? Is it going to be a kind of large committee that takes care of this where everybody's represented on it? Just how is it going to be done? And I think one of the biggest things that everybody should realize and understand in the advanced computing age is talking again about the accelerants and talking about the pandemic and how everybody got used to using Zoom and doing things remote in the last year. The big thing you hear everybody talking about, and I don't think anybody really understood it, was when the iPhones were out or the smartphones came out. Everybody was, especially parents were always concerned that their kids were looking too much. You probably heard your parents telling you this constantly, get your head out of your phone and talk to your family members and things. Well, same thing's happening right now when people aren't going to the office. So it's just on steroids because the whole world is basically doing that now. So how do we, in an advanced computing world where you have all this technology and robotics and artificial intelligence doing things that you need to have done every day for you that's enhancing your lifestyle, how do you maintain social bonds and relationships in that ecosystem where you're part of the social infrastructure and you're not isolated using the technologies? Next slide, Jim. So with that, I just want to end this with, the key really is that advanced computing, in my mind, has a very bright future. And part of it for me is the knowledge and knowing that the technologies are evolving. And the other part is knowing there's a whole new generation of you guys that are coming out of college and will be able to have the capability to adapt to it a lot faster than most folks. And you'll be able to act as stewards to manage the change for the older people. And then for me, it's you guys should remember the future is not something we just enter, meaning advanced computing comes along and you just adopt to it. It's something that you guys will create as you get out and work your jobs, because the technologies are there, but how you apply them and what you do with them and what your passions are and what your skills are will determine exactly what we'll be able to do with this technology in the next 20 to 30 years from now. So graduation is one step. You guys are in school. Graduating is the first step. But don't forget, when you graduate, continually learn about the next horizons, the next technologies. Keep up with your credentials, getting certified in things. Never stop believing you can get it done. Integration is the key. And, continue to do, look for high challenges and use your skills and perform as high as you can. And I think everybody here will be very successful. And that's all I have. I'll open it for any questions. I hope it was useful. Joe, you there?
Yes, sir. So I warned the children, the kids listening to it, that they are going to get the Professor George Albinson view on IPR, and I think it's awesome. It just came out, and awesome, beautiful, George. I know it's too much into the night. I think it's almost 12:09. And you go round around, you're a round clock guy, you goes too far into the night, but being a weekend, I personally appreciate your support. And I'm sure Shantigiri College will, it's founded on a great principle of helping on socially I would never say handicapped, but socially challenged set of missions. And I think it's a great contribution, George. Thanks a lot for that. And with that being said, our beautiful Cheyenne Abraham is waiting. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. George. That was indeed very, very engaging and informative. The Department of Computer Science aims to nurture and empower budding innovators and develop an IT ecosystem to effectively scale the technology ventures. which is core to the Institute's mission. I invite Principal Father Paul Parikatal, CMI, to inaugurate the department's incubation cell and grace the launching of a new product. Father, please.
Yes. The National Innovation Startup Policy 2019 encouraged to create incubation centers in the colleges for the new age entrepreneurs and young minds transform their innovative ideas into viable business propositions. Accordingly, the Department of Computer Science of Shantigiri College has created an incubation cell ready for inauguration. I'm extremely happy to inform you that the incubation cell has come out with its first product launch today. Under its guidance, Vishnu Vinod of S for BCA has developed a software named Click Attendance, one click attendance for taking attendance in Zoom platform. I congratulate Vishnu with great delight for his great achievement. This should motivate all the students of Shantigiri College for greater innovations. And now I'm happy to inaugurate the new incubation cell of Shantigiri College. Thank you very much.
Let me add on to that. This is just a beginning towards the next stage of development. We look ahead. As we near to the close of the ceremony, I extend a note of gratitude to our dear principal. His personal attention during the planning of this conference has made this event truly remarkable. Thank you, Father. We're greatly thankful to our distinguished guests, Mr. Joe Meenamkunnel and Mr. George Albinson, for accepting our invitation and joining us today and sharing your valuable time with us. We anticipate your long-lasting association with Shantigiri College. Thank you once again. A note of recognition to our HOD, Dr. Dhanya Jha, and convener, Ms. Amita Joseph. Their determination and hard work is highly commendable. Thank you for all that you have done for the success of this event. Thank you, dear faculty members and students, for giving your huge support and strengthening our efforts. Thank you, dear attendees and participants, for your valuable time. Thank you, technical team, for that wonderful support. Thank you all once again. On that,
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
the paper presentation to the international conference will resume after